The geometry creation myth. How the world was made according to geometry. Traditional cosmology and the schemes of geometry that illustrate it develop from a central point. In practical geometry, this center is marked by the indentation made by the point of a compass in drawing a circle. In cosmology, it symbolizes the pole of the universe. By geometric convention, the center has no dimensions, and neither has the universal pole. The existence of the pole is acknowledged through necessity, because the circle of the universe, like any revolving disk or sphere, must have a fixed center or axis on which it spins. The nature of this constant but dimensionless fixed element is a mystery beyond rational resolution, and the same mystery arises with the question of who or what is the source of creation. The answer, of course, is the Creator, the great geometer of the creation myth, otherwise God, Allah, the Great Spirit, the higher power, the unlimited, the first cause, an archetype with many names but no definitions. By convention, and without further implications, the Creator is called He, and His central position in the universe is symbolized by the universal pole. The pole itself is taken to represent divine law, the unchanging, everlasting code of harmonies and proportions on which the universe revolves. The Creator in this myth dreamt up the world as an imitation of His own ideal state. He made it as a spherically shaped living creature, complete, with body, soul, and spirit. It is the only independent creature that exists, for all other creatures are merely parts of it, dependent upon it and each other. Other dimensions and existences there may well be, but all are embraced by the unique whole. This universal creature is therefore the natural symbol of the number one. It is an autonomous entity, and outside there is nothing. Traditional cosmologies, stories of how the world began, are centered upon the Creator simply because there is no better alternative. One option is to center the universe upon oneself and one's own transitory existence. That is called solipsism, and its sad effects can be seen in anyone who suffers from being self-centered. Also, the solipsistic are the images of modern cosmology, whose source and center are in the inventive minds of mathematicians. The least controversial attribute of the cosmic center is mystery. You cannot depict a mystery, it has no image, and nothing definite can be said about it. The same is true of the philosopher's God. This is the God known to Jewish Kabbalists as Ein Sof, meaning an existence to which nothing positive can be attributed because it combines and reconciles all the opposite elements to which gave birth. In certain mystical religions, the Creator is so transcendent that He is not even allowed existence. This is not the sort of God upon which cults and faiths can flourish, for there is nothing there to grasp hold of. In these videos, the traditional creation myth is developed and illustrated by means of geometry, the principles of which are not human inventions, but are discovered ready-made in nature. Geometry, it can be said, is more deeply rooted in nature than any of man's physical products. It is the same and as true everywhere, at all times. It is even older than the world itself, for it is the art by which God framed and measured out His creation. He made all things in number and measure and weight, says the apocryphal Book of Wisdom. Creative geometry, introducing the ratios. The Creator, according to our myth, did everything in the simplest, most economical way, showing His benevolence by making His work easy for anyone to follow. The material part of His creation was accomplished in 3 stages, using the first 3 proportions in geometry. These are pi, the square root of 2, and the square root 3 proportion or square root of 3 ratio. The 4th basic ratio is the square root of 5, and its derivative, the golden section. These pertain to the creation of life and occur at a later stage with the geometry of 5 and 10. The first 3 ratios correspond to the circle, the square, and the triangle. The first ratio in geometry is 1 to pi, the ratio between the diameter of a circle and its circumference. The second ratio is 1 to the square root of 2, or 1.4142. The ratio between the side of a square and its diagonal. The third ratio is 1 to the square root of 3, or 1.732. Genesis and the Great Geometer Myth. Developing naturally, along with the first stages in geometry, is a cosmology or story of how the world is made. It starts with its creator, the great geometer, whose benevolence caused him to undertake the work. He was equipped with a ruler and compass, by which can be constructed the primary figures in the plane geometry, those that correspond to the first 12 numbers, with the exceptions of 7 and 9 and the unsubstantial 11. The world was designed by reason, so that geometers can discover and reproduce its essential structure. Since everything about it is as good as it can possibly be, the universe was formed in the most perfect of all shapes, the sphere, represented in the 2 dimensions by the circle. The story is that the Creator, from his position at the center, revolved the shaft of his compass, corresponding to the world pole, and swung a circle that includes everything. A simple version of the geometer's creation myth is in Genesis chapter 1, where the Creator's work is described in 6 stages, or 7, including the Sabbath day of rest. A parallel account is given in Plato's Timaeus, written in the 4th century BC, which has been called a commentary on Genesis with added geometrical details. There are, however, doubts about the prior antiquity of Genesis, and it may be the other way round, that Timaeus was the original version and the biblical account followed. In any case, both were derived from the same source, from the scientifically grounded, numerically structured description of the universe that was adopted by successive religions and cultures throughout the ancient world. The story that goes with it is a geometric allegory. It was never meant to be taken too literally, but since we evidently need a creation myth, it might as well be the best one. That was Plato's reasoning in Timaeus, where he accepted the traditional account as the most likely story. In the Genesis cosmology, the first 3 stages follow the classical development of geometry, beginning with the point, line, and circle, and continuing with the square and triangle. The Creator conceives of the universe, draws the cosmic circle to define its limits, and brings it to order by adding it 2 axes. He is then able to draw a square within the circle. This introduces the first 2 ratios in geometry. The first is pi, the ratio between the circle's diameter and its circumference, and the second is the square root 2, by which the side of the square is related to its diagonal. The area of this circle is half that of the original circle, so in this way, he has divided the universe into 2 equal halves, upper and lower, representing the light and darkness and all the apparent dualities in nature. The circumference of the inner circle provides the firmament by which the Creator separates the waters above from the waters below. Within the lower circle, the firmament, the Creator constructs 2 triangles overlapping to form a hexagon. Thereby he introduces the third, square root 3 ratio in geometry. He draws a circle through the 6 corners of the hexagon. This central circle represents the sublunary world of our existence. The ring outside it is the heavens, and the outer ring is the zodiac, the realm of the 12 gods. Stages in the creation story: Genesis and Plato. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, Genesis 1. He wanted everything to be as near to his own perfection as possible, Plato, Timaeus 29. He made the universe as one whole, made up of all whole entities, perfect and undecaying. He gave it the shape that befitted its nature. The proper shape for the creature, which was designed to comprehend all creatures within itself, is a figure which contains every geometric figure. Thus, he made it in the shape of a sphere, the figure which is most similar to himself, Timaeus. Seeing the universe in a restless state of inharmonious and disorderly motion, God brought it into order because he considered that order was in every way better than disorder. God divided the light from the darkness. He made the firmament and divided the waters, which were under the firmament from the waters above. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." The number of the universe. The universe was made spherical because that is the most perfect shape, and it was given a perfect number. As in the only created entity that is totally self-sufficient, it is the natural symbol of 1, but it also has another number, that of the sacred power or principle to which it is dedicated. The practice in religious architecture was to express the dedication of a temple through the area of its ground plan. The universe was dedicated to the traditional 12 gods of the cosmos, each represented by one of the 12 numbers. Its area as a circle, the two-dimensional form of a sphere, is therefore the number 479,001,600, or 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, 10 times, 11 times 12. Also known as the mathematicians as factorial 12. In the geometer's cosmology, illustrated previously, the universe is divided into two equal areas by inscribing within it a square containing a circle. The diameter of the universal circle, area factorial 12, divided by square root 2 gives the diameter of the inner circle as 17,460. The reference is to 1,746, which is called the number of fusion, because it unites by addition the two numbers which symbolize the two opposite principles in nature, positive and negative. The first of these is the number 666, a solar number applied to the rational, decisive part of the mind. On the opposite pole is 1080, standing for imagination and all that is influenced by the moon. Their sum, 1746, has many important associations on the esoteric number code. We will examine this later in our myth. Within the circle of diameter, 17,460, the circle representing the firmament between the upper and lower worlds, a six-pointed hexagram is drawn, together with the circle that passes through its inner angles. The area of this inner circle is precisely a sixth part of the original factorial 12 circle, and its calculated radius is 5,040 or factorial 7. It represents the sublunary world, the sphere of the Earth within the orbit of her influential companion, the Moon. This circle with a radius equal to 5,040 or 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times 7 is the cosmological circle of the heavenly city diagram, the central symbol in the geometer's creation myth. The area of the cosmological circle, being a sixth part of the factorial 12, circle of the universe, can be expressed as 2 times factorial 11. Around it is the ring bounded by the firmament, whose area is 4 times factorial 11, and the area of the outer ring within the universal circumference is 6 times factorial 11. The areas of the inner circle and its two concentric rings are therefore in the proportion 1, 2, 3. This cosmology figure includes the first three ratios, the 12 gods, types, or tones, and the numerical harmony of the universal system. It is an image of a living being, perfect in all parts, one whole of wholes, as Plato called it, satisfying its own needs and dependent on nothing but the will of its creator. The most interesting part of the universal diagram, and a main theme in these videos, is its central part, the circle of radius 5,040. The number 5,040 stands above all others as the characteristic symbol of the traditional canon of number and proportion. The numerical code was the source and basic standard of all the arts, sciences, and institutions of ancient civilizations that were founded upon cosmological principles to reflect the order in the heavens. Plato, throughout all his writings, refers to the canon of number. It was upheld, he says, by the ruling priests of Egypt, and was responsible for the long endurance of their civilization. In laws, he insists that the ideal state constitution, as a whole, and in all its departments and divisions, should be based on the number 5,040. This is the number of citizens in his ideal city-state, and the land is divided between them into 5,040 equal portions. Summarizing our creation myth, we have developed a template of the first three stages of creation. From our universal pole, combining the first three proportions of pi, the square root 2 and square root 3 ratios, and their corresponding shapes, the circle, square, and equilateral triangles, we have a template of creation and the universe. In our universal creation myth, we have an Earth with a radius of 5,040, and that will be our main focus in the next video.